The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sherapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are The Bostonian versus The Book.
You covered 12. Covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus The Book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sherapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Monday morning episode, Monday afternoon, depending on where you are in this great country, episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. Happy Monday, July the 21st for us here as we continue live from New Hampshire. My name is Matt Perrault. Thanks for being here, guys. We are live on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the Book. Same on Twitter and X. We actually have added, and I'm going to attempt to do this, I'm on my Instagram live at Sports Talk Matt. I've never done that before, so why not add another platform? If you guys are watching on Instagram for the first time, welcome in. Thank you for being a part of the show today, and we'll see how this goes. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll scrap it. We'll keep going just at Boston versus the Book on Twitter, X, and the same on YouTube. Sports Grid TV, you guys are on the replay crew. Thanks for watching. Sirius XM, channel 159 as well. Late Night Owls, you guys driving overnight, wherever you guys may be. Thank you for being a part of it. Come one day and check out the live show on our YouTube, Twitter account at Boston versus the Book. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Join the live chat. You guys always are awesome in the live chat. We thank each and every one of you for being a part of this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already. Leave a review. Leave a comment, do something on the live stream, on the replay. Let us know that you guys are watching and where you are watching from. Remember, we're not doing Roll Call Friday, so I need to know where you guys are at, different countries, different states, wherever you may be. Let us know where you're watching BVB. We always appreciate you guys doing so whenever we do Roll Call Friday, which will be back at some point in the very near future when our friend Mr. Dave Sherapan returns to BVB. So there's the start of the show. Let me give you an update. I need your help. So our guy has been in the hospital for 2 weeks today. 2 weeks in the hospital. If you could imagine what the mental toll of that is. Dave is not on his phone all that much, but I've been told that he is occasionally now able to look at his phone. If you are on Twitter, I thought it would be cool for you guys to go and send Dave some well wishes. Give him a little bit of a boost. He's feeling kind of down. I've been told that he had to kind of have a little tough love session a couple days ago with his family because he's very frustrated, as anyone would be, as you go through this type of situation. He's in recovery. Everything is going as planned, if you will. But 2 weeks is 2 weeks in the hospital. So go to X and tag our guy, Dave Sherapan, at SportsBKConsig. Send him some well wishes. Tell him that we're thinking about him. Tell him that we're going to be here for him when he gets through the recovery process, because really, this is when it gets hard. The surgery, in a lot of ways, is the easy part because Dave doesn't have to do anything, or didn't have to do anything for the surgery. That's up for the surgeons. They went in there and did their magic and what they do each and every day. Their incredible skill set to be able to go and get the cancer out of his body. But the rehab in the wake of that is really hard. And to have to be in the hospital where you can't move, you can't do what you want, you can't eat how you want, your body is changing, it's not easy. So he needs support. He needs some attaboys. He needs some motivation from you guys in the brigade. And you have been there for us so many times and been there for Dave so many times. I'm going to ask you just one more time as he goes through this. He is scheduled to meet with the surgeon tomorrow, and he should have a better idea as to when he will be allowed to go back to Las Vegas. But he's been in Los Angeles for 2 solid weeks. And he's going to be in there at least 2 more days, and maybe 3 or 4, depending on what the surgeon sees and how the surgeon wants it to go. Just a a mentally taxing and physically draining situation. So if you are on Twitter X, Dave's on Twitter at SportsBKConsig. Do me a favor and go and write a message to Dave to help him out and let him do this. Oh, Instagram, it didn't fire on Instagram. Really? Okay, hold on. Let's see if okay, maybe it's live now. I had to go ahead and hit live. So thank you for that, Zach. So if you guys are looking around on Instagram, I think I just fixed it. So it was I've never done that before. So I had to just did. Thank you, Zach. Okay. So now we're up on Instagram live for BVB. I've never done that before. That's the first time we've ever gone live on Instagram. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're just trying new things. This has been sort of like the summer of experiments for me. Like, because Dave's not here, we can do a bunch of fun, different things just to see what happens. Well, I don't know. Like, if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But Instagram today, we'll add that for the week for us coming up with that. Okay. So a reminder as to what's going on for the week this week. My sister gets married on Friday. All right. So Thursday's show is going to be early. Thursday's show is going to be noon Eastern time on Thursday. I have the rehearsal dinner that afternoon, evening. I got to be there at about 4:00 Eastern. So that happens on Thursday. There is no show on Friday. Okay. So no show on Friday for us coming up there on this. So because of that, we're going to go a little early as of right now. Maybe we might go, I don't know. We might go at 12:30. Depending on how the day goes off. So just stay tuned with me for the start time on Thursday, but no show on Friday. That is the day of the wedding. We have a morning situation going on, an event in the morning, and then we have the wedding that night. So just heads up on the show. No show Friday. BVB will be off on Friday. We'll come back on Monday for the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be as is, as normal, but no show on Friday as my 26-year-old sister gets married, and it's going to be there. My sister is probably going to make an appearance this week, CBW. So she's not going to be a Friday special guest, but at some point, my sister is going to pop on in here to BVB. My gut tells me it's going to be tomorrow, just because it's the week of the wedding and she's starting to freak out a little bit. But hopefully we'll get my sister on tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest to kind of talk to you guys, talk to us. She's been such a staple of everything I've done over the course of, I don't know how many years. My sister has been a part of broadcasts going back to New Hampshire, going back to here, going back to when I was broadcasting from New Hampshire in 2011, and my sister was like 10 years old. She was Maddie's age when she started appearing on my radio shows. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So Friday wedding, no show Friday. Thursday, maybe an earlier show than normal. For this show, though, we started off with the opening line. All right, opening line. This one's a little bit different because I actually don't have a solid opinion to give you guys here. Normally with the opening line, I come out and I have a very red line, right? One side or the other, you can join. But something has really struck me in the last couple of weeks involving two topics in the sports gambling and sports world that I find to be really interesting. I want to read you 4 different tweets that have been put out over the last week. The first topic is about the sports gambling taxation part of the big, beautiful bill that was and still is a remarkable fight that I am watching play out in real time. And then the latest happened over the weekend when the WNBA players all decided to wear the same shirt. Pay us what you owe us. This has kicked off a raging debate on the internet about what the shirt means, about what the league makes. All of a sudden, everybody is a WNBA CBA expert, that everyone knows what the league is making, that everyone knows what the league has lost, that everyone knows now as to what is really happening involving the WNBA. I'm at like a loss for what has happened here. And I know it's the world we live in, so maybe I shouldn't be that surprised, but let's just start with the tax bill, okay? This is just some guy named Boston Smalls, okay? And this is what he wrote in the wake of the passing of the big, beautiful bill. saying the gambling community is going to be a little upset. They're more than a little upset. Current rule, as we've talked about on this show, you can deduct 100% of their gambling losses up to the amount of their gambling winnings in a given tax year. You win 10,000, lose 10,000, you can deduct full 10,000 in losses, resulting in no taxable income from gambling. The new rule, it now amends the deduction to 90% of losses starting in 2026. Same example, 10,000 wins, 10,000 losses. They now can only deduct $9,000 and they'll be taxed on $1,000, even though the gambler broke even. This is going to smoke, according to this tweet, professional gamblers and have a pretty wide effect on the industry as a whole, from small gamblers to casinos themselves. It will certainly hurt native tribes. Now, look, that's a very reasoned take, and I'm not saying that that take is wrong. We have seen numerous people all throughout Las Vegas, all throughout the gambling community, professional gamblers, bookmakers, people who own casinos have all come out and said, this is a really bad thing. Like, this is not what we want. We're going to drive people offshore. We should not be doing this. This is bad for anybody who gambles aggressively, and really even recreational gamblers. It's going to be bad for them because they're going to have to pay taxes on money that they never actually won. They never actually earned. So that's kind of fugazi, right? To pay taxes on money that never actually came in. How's that possible? How could you allow it to be part of it? So Dina Titus, Democrat from Nevada, has looked to pass the Fair Bet Act, right? It's to restore this to 100%, to go 100 versus 190. That, I guess, has made a lot of people mad because I guess it's political. Because this is what one of the retorts to a Boston Smalls type from someone I've never heard of before, but she's a blue checkmark person. Won't you please cry for the gamblers? Gamblers are mad about a new tax rule in the OBBB, created to help pay for the new $6,000 deduction for our senior citizens. Prior to its passage, you could deduct 100% of your losing wagers from your winnings for federal tax purposes. Now you can only deduct 90%. Why do Democrats care? State tax revenues. They're afraid you'll gamble less of your money away if you can't deduct 100% of the losses from your winnings. Democrats just introduced a new bill in the House called the Fair Bet Act to restore 100% deductions. Democrats don't care about you, seniors, or the steep rise in gambling addictions, especially amongst our young men. All they care about is money. Like, I don't know what to make of the world when I'm reading that. Like, there's so much crazy in that to me when I read that, of like, this is about gambling. How is this about Democrats and Republicans? Like, how is that a partisan thing? Because a Democrat put the bill up? Well, look, if you remember, our good friends at Circa and Derek Stevens hosted a Donald Trump rally in Las Vegas during the presidential campaign. They hosted Donald Trump for a big rally about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, right? Big announcement. One of the biggest proponents of the Dina Titus bill is Derek Stevens. Like, Derek Stevens is out here saying this is great. We need to do more than just the Fair Bet Act, but we have to do this to help our business, to keep people in the legalized market and not offshore. I don't know about you, but it sure feels like this is not a partisan issue. It sure feels like this is not what anyone is looking to do from right or left. This is just trying to make economic sense. Like, this is just trying to make it one thing that makes what it used to be, put it back to what it used to be, because a lot of people are going to be impacted, and there's a huge trickle-down effect that could come into play here. But I guess everyone's a tax expert. I guess everyone knows now what the tax rate should be, how the taxes are going to be filed, how the taxes are going to be held, withheld, when you can do it, when you can't do it, what year, what, how. It just really feels like, to me, all of a sudden, everyone is an expert. And the gambling world continues to be completely in flames over this, about how this is going to be so catastrophic. And then you have the other side of the coin where people are saying it's going to impact like 0.1% of everyone who actually is going to be taxed. Like, the vast majority of people don't even file their gambling losses on their taxes. So why? They don't care about this. They spent $2,000-3,000 a year maximum. So what do they care if they can't write off $100? It's not a big deal. Not going to impact their bottom line. It's only the big high profile or the big high ticket gamblers that bet 10, 20, 30,000 a game. For those guys, well, yeah, they're going to care. They're going to have a big deal and a big problem with it. But it's not just this topic that has everybody up in arms. The newest iteration of this is the WNBA and whether or not they should have worn t-shirts that said pay us our worth and what the actual worth should be. Now, I'm not saying Jared Smith, who I'm friends with, is wrong for writing this, but he tweeted this out over the weekend. Nobody wants the WNBA to succeed more than me, but wearing pay us what you owe us t-shirts in the middle of a CBA negotiation when the league operated at a $40 million loss last year has never been profitable is peak delusion. He's not wrong in that assessment. The WNBA has never made money. The WNBA has lost every single year. And there are people that are saying that after losing $40 million last year, the league's going to lose $50 million this year. Now, the big contract is coming for television. Each team's going to make $200 million a year off the TV deal, right? This is more money than what F1 is going to get paid by Apple TV, okay? To give you an idea. Now, F1 has got multiple different platforms in which they distribute their content. And the F1 world is built on money, right? I mean, they don't care what their TV rights really are. They don't care if anybody watches. They're making so much money from hospitality and events and everything in the drivers and endorsements and everything else. I mean, F1 is an absolute cash cow. There's no debating the thing is built on money. But from a TV rights perspective, that's true. The F1 package will be smaller per year than what has been done for, per team than what we've seen per team for the WNBA. It's a huge contract. So maybe the players do deserve a bigger cut, right? Maybe they should get. But what about the owners who have operated at a loss every single year and they consistently keep on operating at a loss? Well, enter Dave Portnoy, who decided to tweet this. I see a lot of morons trying to act like WNBA players don't deserve more money. They are throwing around this lost $50 million number that nobody even knows where it comes from. The finances of the league are a mess, tied in with the NBA and purposely murky. The owners don't want to say how the league is doing because you got to pay more going into a bargaining agreement. The league is exploding. Franchises values are exploding. Ticket sales, merch, TV rights, all exploding. The players have an opt-out in their CBA, and of course they took it. It's all about leverage and renegotiations. And for the first time in history of the league, players have power. The players making virtually nothing while the entire league explodes. Of course they deserve more money. Just the values of the team for team pay for it without all the other stuff. If somebody told me I could buy a Boston team for $250 million, I would do it without blinking. That's all you have to know about the WNBA finances. Is Dave Portnoy right? I think he's the same as Jared. Jared said $40 million loss. He's saying there is no $50 million loss. It's all a bunch of, smokescreen, not real. Everyone's an expert. Like everyone knows everything now. Like, does anybody go into those finances? Does everyone actually look at the books? Do you have access to that information? Does anybody have access to that information? I mean, I don't think the players who were wearing that t-shirt, which by the way, the entire team Clark side of it didn't show up for that meeting. I mean, that was announced by Kelsey Plum in the post WNBA All-Star Game press conference, where she said, well, all of us here on Team Collier, we were the ones that kind of made that happen. Nobody from Team Clark showed up, including Caitlin Clark. But Caitlin Clark wore the t-shirt. Like they had a meeting for a CBA conversation and half of the All-Stars didn't show up. How important is that really to them? They didn't even show up. Now, why did Kelsey Plum put that out there? I don't know. She blasted half the league by doing that. Brianna Stewart was like, what the heck did you just say? Like, why did you? That wasn't. No, sorry. That was Sabrina. Sabrina did that. Sabrina was like, Ionescu was like, what did you do? Looked at her like she was nuts. Like, why did you do that? Why did you call out? Why did you just, slam half the league? Because it's true. Like, how big of a deal is this? It can't be a big deal to Caitlin Clark. I mean, come on. It can't be a big deal. Like, whatever Caitlin Clark is making for her salary means nothing. Caitlin Clark's making so much money off the court. Same thing for numerous other players who are making so much money. Asia Wilson, so much money off the court. Their on-court salaries should be higher. I will give you that. They should be compensated more. How much? I don't know. I just know that if I ran a business and for 20 years I lost money every single year, and then the league finally cashed, it finally hit. We hit the Amazon jackpot, right? We got that. As an owner, I would say, okay, time to make my money back. Time to make what I lost. And yet the league is threatening to walk. The league wants to pack up shop and say we're not playing, which would be catastrophic if the WNBA did that. So I understand what Dave Portnoy is saying. It would be great to buy into the league right now. Why wouldn't you want to buy into the WNBA right now? Dave hasn't lost $40 million a year or been a part of those losses for $40 million a year every year for the last 20 years. I would want to buy in too. I'm getting this thing as a rocket ship on the way up, and you guys took all the losses. You built the foundation. All the owners, the previous owners, they built the foundation for the league to exist today. Without those owners being willing to take losses, there is no WNBA for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to play in. It's gone. The league is folded. How many professional sports leagues have folded? NFL Europe, anybody? Have folded. USFL, XFL, like just go down. Even the G League's in jeopardy of folding. Like if you're not willing to subsidize and pay for these minor leagues to exist, baseball did it right. Major League Baseball has got nothing to do but the players being loaned to the franchises. Major League Baseball doesn't run minor league baseball at all. They own the players, not the teams, not the ballparks. Those are all individually run. That is your typical minor league model for hockey and baseball. This is totally new when it comes to subsidizing the WNBA. So while I get what Dave Portnoy is saying about taking the $250 million and how cool that would be to buy in right now, everybody would love to buy in at the peak and not take the losses at the front end. But Jared's not wrong either. Calling out the losses, if you go to that tweet and look at what Jared's being called and the names, people are attacking him like crazy for just pointing out a fact. Like he didn't say that. That's not an inflammatory tweet by any means. That it's peak delusion to say, pay us what you owe us. You can make that case. That's not a crazy point. I don't think Portnoy should call Jared or anybody else a moron for having an opinion. I think it's a you can stand on two legs and make that case. You can make a case that the owners should be compensated for what they have done for the league while the league is now in a money-making mode. And the league is in a money-making mode. There's no debating on that. But what's funny, the tickets for the All-Star game in Indy were about $90 on the secondary market. Once Caitlin Clark was ruled out, tickets went for about $12. So is it the WNBA or is it one player? We'll find out, right? We'll find out. And having 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 players, whatever it might be, that's most leagues are built on superstars like that. That's not crazy. That's not abnormal for that to happen. Leagues built on the backs of superstars who then get people to come pay attention to the other sport, the other players of the sport, other teams of the sport. They find out more information. They come for Caitlin Clark and they learn about everybody else. Nothing wrong with that. Caitlin's going to be compensated. She should be compensated. Caitlin Clark should be the highest player in the WNBA. I don't think you can make much of an argument to say she should not be. She should be. But my gosh, are we just deciding that everything that we know everything about everything now and that everyone wants to get after it and everybody. And at the end of the day, this doesn't impact anyone who's arguing about either topic. Like 99.99% of the people arguing about the gambling bill and about the WNBA pay have no impact. It will have no impact on them one way or the other. Now, there's a lot of things in sports we argue about. They'll have no impact. But when it comes to money, it feels like money is a real big catalyst right now. Like a lot of people are really worried about dollars, not just their own dollar, but everyone's dollar. That's the one difference that I feel here. We're not arguing about, who's going to win the Super Bowl or who's going to be in the Final Four. We're not arguing about the best team in the WNBA. We're not arguing about who's going to win an election. We're arguing about money, not our money, but everyone else's money. We're arguing about other people's money and what other people's money is worth or who should be paid what. That's a unique world in my mind. That's where it gets funny to me, that it's not just about the topic, is that everyone's an expert on everyone else's wallet, which when I was growing up and what I was told, what I was taught, worry about yourself. Like, worry about your own dollar before you worry about somebody else's, because that's the most important dollar you got. Yours, not somebody else's. What happened last night? All right, let's talk about what happened last night in the fourth major championship for Scottie Scheffler, who won it in dominant fashion over at Royal Portrush. He won it with 17 under, just not really even a fair fight. Like, Scottie just blew the field away. It wasn't entertaining. It was absolute boredom on Sunday. No matter who wanted to charge up, Scottie was out to a 5-stroke lead by the time we hit the third hole, and that was it. It was over. He coasted. He didn't need to shoot much on Sunday. He went out there and shot a decent round. Nothing too extravagant, but he just had to basically keep the car on the road, and he was going to win his fourth major golf championship. And Scottie just continues to do incredible things. Fourth major golf championship. According to Yahoo Sports, both Scottie and Tiger took 1,197 days to win their first major to their fourth major, which is kind of crazy. It's not the only tie to Tiger, because now all Scottie needs is the U.S. Open to complete the career Grand Slam. Now, Phil never did it. Phil Mickelson never got it done. And we all thought that Phil was going to get the career Grand Slam. And maybe he'll do it. If he gets it, he'll be the 7th golfer in the history of golf to ever have the career Grand Slam. But only Tiger, Jack, and Gary Player did it in their 20s. Tiger was 24 when he completed the career Grand Slam. Scottie's 29. It's a little bit older, but still incredibly impressive to see what he's been able to do. He'll go to Shinnecock Hills next year. Very difficult golf course. But now that's the talking point. I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about every U.S. Open from now until Scottie wins it. If he does win it, we're going to be talking about him and the U.S. Open. And we're going to talk about him and the career Grand Slam. It took a decade for Rory to do it. And Rory just became the 6th golfer in the history of the game to complete the career Grand Slam. We all thought that Mickelson would do it. Like, that was like a foregone conclusion that Phil was going to be able to do it. But the comparisons to Tiger are not fair. We need to stop it, because Tiger and Phil had each other. Scottie doesn't have a Phil Mickelson, and he really needs one. He needs someone to be of the upper echelon, greatest of all time type golfers, because we had Arnie and Jack and we had Phil and Tiger. Scottie, without his foil, without his rival, without the other side of the coin, is struggling to gain attention. It's not his fault. What he is doing is unbelievable. But if Bryson DeChambeau had not shot 78 on Thursday, Bryson ripped the golf course apart on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He would have been right there with Scottie if he had just shot even par. If he had shot 70 on Thursday, he would have been right there. But instead, he shot 78, and he put himself completely behind the 8 ball. He shot 78-65. That's the biggest turnaround from round 1 to round 2 at the Open Championship in like the last 50 years. like 50 years. I mean, he had an unbelievable bounce back from Thursday to Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, he was awesome on Sunday. I mean, Bryson was incredible on Sunday. So him to come in the top 10, remarkable, unbelievable round. I think, right? He came in top 10, 9 under for I believe, I forget the actual finishing point. He was 9 under for the tournament. Tremendous. Just absolutely tremendous. And fine, CBW. You can say if you want. Yep, fine. If. Okay, I'll give you that. But we need either the Live Tour guys to go and get on the PGA. Because here's the problem. It's not just the majors, right? You could say, well, Matt, Scottie plays against the live guys in majors and kills them. And he does. I'll give you that. But we don't have the opportunity for Scottie Scheffler at like the St. Jude Classic. We don't have it at like the John Deere. We don't have it at just a typical PGA Tour stop where these guys will battle against each other and go head to head week in and week out. That's what creates rivalry. If you see somebody once a month and just like passing, yeah, okay, maybe you don't like them. Maybe you don't have a high regard for them, but you don't have a rivalry with them. You don't have like a real problem with them. There is no rival for Scottie Scheffler. There is nobody on his level. When he goes and shoots 65, 66 consistently, there's nobody that can top him. There's nobody that can beat him on the PGA Tour. And that's creating a big void. And it causes Sunday to suck. The Sunday at the final major was an absolute snooze fest. There was nothing fun going on. There was nothing interesting. It was a race for second place. And I was watching it. I was on Sports Grid with Joe Ranieri for the entire last round. And we're watching this, and it was over. There was nothing. We were talking about second place, and we were talking about top 5 and top 10 markets because Scottie, at one point, I think he was like minus 17,000 to win the tournament. Like, just blew him away. Blew him away. It wasn't even a competitive day of golf for Scottie Scheffler. Again, that's not his fault. But maybe, as Roger Long is asking, is he going to let us know when he's finally fulfilled? Maybe that's part of the problem. Like, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe part of the issue for Scottie is it's boring. Maybe it's boring for him too. He's just that good. He's like, all right, if I go out and shoot what I know I can shoot, you guys can't beat me. I'm playing a different game than you guys are. We're on a different level, me and the rest of the field. That sucks. Like, that sucks. And look, WB Punch was right. How about the winning score being so low at the Open? Used to be they're lucky to break par. When the wind doesn't blow and the rain stays away, link style golf is easy. It's just easy. The holes are short. The pop bunkers aren't a problem. The modern technology, you pull driver, you just knock the ball over trouble, hit it up by the green. If you don't have to worry about the wind or the rain, it becomes very simple. It becomes a very easy game. So that's an issue. Absolutely. 17 under for a winning score at the Open. Yuck. That's like, imagine a U.S. Open with a score of 17 under. No, absolutely not. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Ish says, I mean, I would get bored too if I had no competition. There's some truth to that. There's absolutely truth to the idea that you need to be pushed, that there needs to be some type of drama. Like when you go and start playing the day, looking at the leaderboard, you're like, I can beat him. I can beat him. I can beat him. I can beat him. Okay. What am I worried about? I mean, Harris English is a really nice guy. Okay. Rory, you worried about Rory? No, you're not. I mean, come on, let's be honest. No, you're not. If you're asking Scottie truthfully, you worried about Rory? Come on, no. Matt Fitzpatrick? No, you're not. Not worried about those guys at all. There was nobody. Wyndham Clark? You're worried about Wyndham Clark. You're Scottie Scheffler. You've won 4 majors. You're going to pass Tiger for the most money won on the PGA Tour coming up next year. The most profitable golfer ever will be Scottie Scheffler. You're worried about Wyndham Clark? No, you're not. You're just not. So, wow. Interesting analogy, Fist Killer. He's boring. The Kirk Cousins of the PGA Tour. We all wanted to be Tiger back in the day. I mean, to be frank, Fist Killer, I would be Scottie Scheffler too. I mean, wouldn't you want to cash those checks? As JC from KC says. I would agree. I'd want to cash those checks. He is boring, though. There's no debate that he's boring. Is it his fault that he's boring? No, it's not his fault that he's boring. But I think him being boring is only accentuated by the lack of a rival. Because maybe we would see some personality out of Scottie. Maybe we'd see some drama and some incredible things happen. because Tiger was nothing but drama on and off the course. That's not Scottie. I mean, by all accounts, he's a really good guy. He's a great family man. He's ecstatic to be a father. He looks like he's got everything in place. Now, look, at one point in time, we all thought that about Mr. Woods, didn't we? Okay? We all thought the Tiger had everything buttoned up too, until somebody pulled a thread and everything unraveled and we saw the real Tiger, right? The emperor had no clothes, literally. So, like, let's see what happens with Scottie as the press gets more into his life and the spotlight gets brighter. Let's see. But as of right now, he's just a guy that you'd want to hang out with. I mean, if Scottie Scheffler was the best man at your wedding, you wouldn't feel like, oh man, that's a bad move. It's a good, on the surface, a really good dude. By all accounts, a really good dude. He's just boring. He's just boring. And it stinks. But I'll be very curious to see where he goes from here and whether or not, if he wins the Open at Shinnecock, he'll do it in his 20s, the career Grand Slam in his 20s. And it's Jack, it's Tiger, Gary Player, and Scottie Scheffler. The one thing that we all have to be careful of, and this is people in my chair with microphones in front of their faces, when we talk about Scottie Scheffler, is that he has 4 majors. Tiger is 15. Jack is 18. Okay? So, like, he's on the path. He's doing Tiger-like things, and everybody on PGA Tour, on the tour afterwards said, like, I didn't think I'd see another guy as dominant as Tiger in my lifetime, but here he is. Okay. Right now, 4 majors. He's 29. Your peak is 32, 33, 34. I'll give it to you. Scottie should get better at the game, not worse. He should improve, not get worse. But he's still really far away from Tiger, and he's light years from Jack. So I know we all want to run and be like, anoint him the next great. And like, he's in the conversation, Jack, Tiger, Scottie. Hold on. I mean, right now, yes, but hold on. He's got 4. Got a ways to go to get to 15, ways to go to get to 18 for Jack. So again, it is wild that Phil never did it, though, that Mickelson never completed the career Grand Slam. He had his shots, but he was never able to actually do it. All right, to baseball. How about the Brewers? They've won 10 straight. They swept the Dodgers, this time at LA. The Brewers are now 6-0 against the Dodgers. And all of a sudden, the LA Dodgers are looking very, very vulnerable. Even the odds. Look at the World Series odds as we have today at FanDuel. The Dodgers are plus 220. That's a pretty big price for them, given what we have seen over the last couple of years for the Dodgers. Yes, when they get to the playoffs, they're going to have Ohtani, and they're going to have their pitchers in a short series. They're going to have a bye, most likely, and they're going to be very difficult to beat in the playoffs. However, Tiger 750, and look at the Brewers. I got the Brewers at 28-1 about a week ago. Right before the All-Star break, I got them at 28-1. They're now 19-1 to win the World Series. All right. They're still the 8th choice, but given what they have pitched like, given that they have Woodruff back, given that Mizorowski's an absolute flamethrower, Freddie Peralta has been awesome this year. Their bullpen is good, and they just, as their manager called them last night, just a bunch of guys. They don't have a superstar in the middle of their lineup. That's true. But sometimes a collection of your parts is better than what the Mets have when you pay Juan Soto $1 billion. Because they can score and they can hit left-handed pitching. They're one of the best lineups against left-handed pitching. And every time they've seen Kershaw, at least 2 times this year, they hit him. They get after Kershaw. They get after the lefties. They've been really impressive. Ooh, ND Irish, good. ND9 Irish. You can still get them at 25-1 at Fanatics and Caesars to win the World Series. All right. So people haven't bet them there. FanDuel clearly has taken money on the Brewers. But I got 28-1. So does ND. All right. 28-1. It's a good ticket to have. Go get them at 25-1. Look at their team. They're tied with the Cubs atop the division. If they see the Dodgers in the playoffs, they're not going to be afraid. And frankly, if you have a 25-1 or 28-1 ticket, we just need them to get to the National League Championship Series, and then we'll hedge. You can hedge 5 units and still go to the World Series with a ticket that's, if they get there, got a really good ticket. Or we're going to, bring back 5-1. We'll drop a unit on one side and win 4 units, and we're good. So I think you're looking at a really good heads position if you do choose to do that, if you do choose to jump in and grab a hold of it and say, okay, this is what we can potentially do. So I like that a lot, to go ahead and do that. And yep, Cubs and the Brewers are pushed to have the best record, possibly 100%. That's possible. Only 18-1 for the Brewers at ESPN Bet. All right, someone's bet it there too. So I like the Brewers a lot. I like the way they're made up. I like what they hit. I like who they face. I like their division. I like the Brewers a lot. I think that they're better than people think, and they're a sneaky pick come the postseason for them to get on in and get a W. How about Scooble? 11 Ks last night on Sunday Night Baseball. Tigers beat the Rangers 2-1. The Tigers become the first team in baseball to win 60. Do you know what that means to me? Nothing. I don't care. I don't like the Tigers. I'm just not a fan of their makeup. I don't think their lineup, it doesn't scare me for that matter. I think they've overachieved. I think Scooble's amazing, but come the postseason, I don't think they have much behind him. And I think it's going to be a big problem for the Tigers. So big win. All 3 games for the Rangers and the Tigers went under. More on the Rangers and the under train here in just 1 second. But finally, UFC 318 over the weekend. Congratulations to Max Holloway, who beat Dustin Poirier in a great main event at UFC 318. 5-round brawl. Awesome fight. Huge win for Max. Didn't disagree. I was on Poirier. I thought Max won the fight. I don't know if he won it as lopsided as the judges did, but I thought Max won the fight. Poirier had his moments, 2nd round submission attempt. He had some moments in that fight, but overall it was Max. It was classic Max, just being able to get off when he wanted to. And for Dustin Poirier, I mean, the last 30 seconds of that fight, when Max said, and he pointed to the middle of the octagon and said, let's go. And Poirier engaged for a moment and then got hit with 3 or 4 shots. He caught Holloway with a hell of a hook that could have ended the fight against most fighters, and Max ate it like it was nothing. And then Dustin started to grapple and grab because he was like, if that's not going to drop him, I'm never going to drop him. And I'm getting tagged like crazy for Max. That was sort of the defining moment of the fight. And I thought, okay, like, you had a shot. Max gave you that window to knock him out. Max gave him the window to hit it. And okay, Ish says Dustin didn't have his heart in the final fight. You could tell. There is the adage, and I thought he would because he was at home, but there is the adage that if you start talking about retirement and you're a fighter, you were already retired. So a lot of people bet against Max, or big money came in on Max. All the pros were on Max. I went the other way. I went contrary and lost. It wasn't a big deal. I took a 1-unit shot on it because I thought there was a chance for a submission or for a knockout. Neither one really came close to coming in. And then on the cards, I thought, okay, maybe, but the judges clearly thought Max was the better fighter that night. And clearly Max was, in terms of the stats, all favored Holloway on that. So for Poirier, unbelievable. I don't know where everyone asks the question, like, where does Dustin Poirier rank? I don't know, to be quite honest. I mean, lost to Habib. He did beat Conor twice. So that, I mean, he did end the career of Conor McGregor. He's got that on his mantle. But outside of that, it's kind of like Justin Gaethje. It's like unbelievable career, fan favorites. But like when you start stacking them up against other people in the division, in other fighters in UFC history, they don't have the same type of wins, consistent domination as some of the others. Now for Holloway, I think he should get the rematch against Ilia Topuria. I think that would be awesome. He got clipped. He got knocked out, but Max only has a year or 2 left. He's 33. So I think if I'm the UFC, I make that fight quick and I see if you can get Max to go and rematch against Topuria. And I think that fight would sell. Topuria is a draw right now. Max, after last night, is probably the hottest he'll be for quite a while because people did not buy that fight. The UFC tried really hard to push that fight because they knew people were not stopping. I was just following on social media. Like, people were not into that fight. That was not a pay-per-view card that people really wanted to buy. It was a fight. I mean, the card was good. The fights were good, but the card didn't sell. Didn't have enough names. People ripped it for months leading up to it. And then you had the fight, the headline fight, went all 5 rounds. So yeah, I think should get his rematch. And this is pretty much the opinion too, that Topuria will steamroll Holloway. He did the first time, knocked him out in the 3rd round. So, if it happens again, we've already seen it. So it could easily happen again where Ilia Topuria knocks out Max Holloway. He's only been knocked out once in his career. That's Ilia Topuria was able to get it done. Time for some bets. All right, time for just the picks plays for tonight. I'm going to keep riding the Rangers and the A's under. The Rangers at home are now 34-13 to the under. They are the number 1 team in Major League Baseball to the under. Overall, they're hitting at about 62% of the time to the under. The pitchers aren't great for either team tonight. I'll give it to you. Both guys have ERAs over 4, so that's a little scary. But 3 games against the Tigers, all 3 games went under. I bet them all. I went 3-0 betting them. I'm going to keep on betting them. The Rangers under at home until further notice. Until they start hitting and until their bullpen, until they start giving up runs, I'm betting under. It doesn't really matter who's pitching. It doesn't really matter what lineup they've got. It doesn't really matter what usage of their pen they've had and what status it's at. It's just a system play for me. Under for the Rangers at home until further notice. Take the under 9 tonight for the Rangers and the A's. Second bet, I'm going to go with the Cardinals at the Rockies to get a win here tonight. And again, I mean, the Rockies have won 2 out of 3 after the All-Star break, but the Cardinals need to get going here a little bit. They're losing contact with the Brewers and the Cubs. And when you're playing the Rockies, who, as our guy Joe C. Myers is doing an unbelievable job for us, tracking what's happening for the Rockies versus last year's White Sox team. Well, the White Sox last year were really bad. The Rockies are historically bad to the point where they're now 4 games behind the pace for the White Sox last year, who lost 121 games. But this Rockies team at home is 12-37. The Rockies on the road are 12-38. They're 33.5 games back of the Dodgers. They're awful. They have a negative .253 run differential. The Cardinals are 8.5 games back of the Brewers and the Cubs, who are both 59-40 on the year. The Reds are 7.5 games back. They've passed the Cardinals at 52-48. The Cardinals have lost 3 games in a row and only 1 of 3 of the last 10 games. So they need this W tonight. Like, this is just a team, when you play the Rockies, you got to win. You have no choice. You got to win. I'll take the Cardinals to win tonight on the money line here tonight on the road against the Rockies. Prop bet of the day. All right, let's go to my team, the Boston Red Sox here for the BVB prop bet of the day. Ceddanne Rafaela. Let's get a hit out of him. It's plus 135. I'm kind of surprised at the price. He did not get a hit yesterday against the Cubs, and the Red Sox snapped a 2-game losing streak to start the second half of the year against Chicago. They're facing Zach Wheeler tonight, and I know that's why it's plus money, but Ceddanne has been pretty darn good here over the last 8 games. He's got 5 hits over his last 8 games, and he basically just gets 1 hit when he does it. But sometimes it's a home run, and sometimes it's a double. So he's an extra base guy. It's plus money facing Wheeler. The Red Sox lineup, I mean, Walker Buehler's going tonight. The Red Sox better bring their hitting shoes. They got Walker Buehler on the mound. They're going to give up runs with him on the mound. I know he's been better. He was better towards the end of the first half, but this Phillies team at home can straight up mash. The Phillies are 31-18 at home. So you better be able to score tonight for the Red Sox. Let's go with Ceddanne Rafaela over a hit, half a hit here for plus 135. let's head in over to the Circa Sports Pro Football Story of the Day. If you guys have not gone and grabbed a hold of hotel rooms for the Ultimate Football Contest Weekend, we hope to see you all there. That is when we hope to see our guy Dave Sherapan return to BVB. Contest weekend is August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd to come in and sign up for Circa Million and Circa Survivor. That is 5 games against the spread for Circa Million with $6 million guaranteed, a $1 million first place prize, $15 million for Circa Survivor. That is 20 games. You must go 20-0 to either win or get your share of the Circa Survivor pot of $15 million. Multiple ways to win, though, when it comes to million. No rake on either game for either contest for Circa Survivor or Circa Million. You can hire a proxy if you come to Nevada and don't live here. You then can play from anywhere. Go to circasports.com for more information. How about this story? Will Levis is done for the year. The Titans took Cam Ward with the number 1 pick in the draft, and the Titans fully expected to have a quarterback battle between Will Levis and Cam Ward. And the Titans quarterback from last year just decides to have season-ending surgery and take himself out of the competition. He just says, I'm out. I'm done. At minicamp, Will Levis was splitting time with Cam Ward. Like, this was supposed to be a competition. But he suffered an AC joint injury against Miami on September the 30th, and he'll have surgery on July 29th. Like, why didn't he have the surgery last year? He tried to play, then why not have it right before or right after you play, after the year is over? Why not have the surgery in January? He waited till July. Like, it's almost like he wanted to see what Cam Ward looked like to be like, can I beat this guy out? If the answer is, no, I can't beat this guy out. Let's go have surgery. Let's go check out. Or maybe you want to see what Brian Callahan was going to do. But that's wild. Levis spent the whole offseason working with quarterback coach Jordan Palmer. And according to those who watched tape and watched video of him in California working with Jordan Palmer, he looked fine. Like, he was fine. And so he just decides, yeah, man, like, shoot, I need surgery on the team's dime, mind you, by the way. Okay. The team's dime. The Titans said in a statement, we support his decision to focus on his long-term health. He approached the offseason with professionalism and showed clear growth as a leader. We remain confident in his full recovery. You took a quarterback with the first pick in the draft. What are you talking about? You're not committed to Will Levis. You're committed to Cam Ward. Like, come on. But now he's under contract, and the injury was suffered during a game. Thus, you, Titans, you got to pay for the surgery and the rehab and everything else, doing it on your dime. He took it. Why is he having the surgery in July? Again, that's my only question. Why did he wait till July 29th to have the surgery when the injury happened last year? Happened in January. It happened a long time ago. He could have had, happened in September, September 30th against the Dolphins last year. He waited almost an entire year with the injury before he determined, oh, right, yeah, that thing, I got to have surgery. What are we doing? That's unbelievable for Will Levis. Like, that is, the guy was a clown anyway in a lot of ways, but holy crap for that to happen, for him to be able to pop off and go, see ya, I'm out. Thanks for the opportunity to see what Cam Ward looks like. Yeah, he's really good. I can't beat him out. So I'm going to go take my time here and go have you guys pay me while I sit back and do nothing and, rehab my shoulder situation. Unbelievable. Brigade Proxy story of the day. Well, I said that wrong. It's Brigade Proxy college football team of the day. Sorry. Forgot what we're doing here. Team of the day is Texas Tech. Win total 8.5. Over is juiced at -122. This Texas Tech team is interesting. Really, really interesting. There are a lot of people who believe that Texas Tech has an opportunity to be the best team in the Big 12. They have spent so much money in the NIL world, in the transfer portal. They have rebuilt their defensive line. Their offense should be good. They should have a good offense to go and score. Typical Texas Tech and Red Raider offense. But their defense might be the biggest question. 8.5 wins for Texas Tech. Are they the best team in the Big 12? It's really possible that they're going to be the best team in the Big 12. But does that get them into the playoffs? You would think that would get them into the playoffs. But there's no guarantee that that's going to happen for Texas Tech. They have a massive game against Utah coming up this year on the road. And Utah is going to be back. This is not last year's Utah team or even 2 years ago for Utah. We're going to see a very talented Utah team this year. And that road game is going to be massive. There's going to be a lot of people watching that game as sort of a measuring stick for Texas Tech. Say, okay, how good are you going to be? I mean, a lot of their games are cream puff. They play Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State. Those are all games they're going to win. But then they play at Utah in their first game in the Big 12. They play at Houston, at Arizona State, at Kansas State. They play at West Virginia. Home games against BYU and Central Florida. Big games. Oklahoma State could be better depending on what Gundy looks like. But they have a schedule that's conducive for Texas Tech to run the table. I like the over on wins on Texas Tech. I also think they got a shot to make the playoffs, and you can bet that as well. They've spent a ton of money. All right. Lubbock is a tough place to play. And now they've got Microsoft level NIL. It could blow up. There's no debating on that. It absolutely could blow up, given the fact that, look, teams have turned things around fast in college football, right? Miami just did that. This is the comparison. The Texas Tech is going to be the Miami of this year. Where they got a quarterback, they've got a running back, they got some wideouts, they have a much better offensive line. They've spent big money in the offensive line. Now they've got to go and win some games, but their defense was always a question. Their defense was going to be a problem. So now they've rebuilt that defensive line completely. And so there's a lot of questions. You guys are asking about their odds. Their national championship odds are 130-1, okay, to win the national championship. To win the Big 12, their odds are plus 650, 6.5-1. But it's pretty close. There's a lot of closeness here when it comes to these teams. 5-1 Kansas State, 550 Utah, 6-1 Arizona State, 650 for Baylor and Texas Tech, 8-1 for TCU. So there's no real clear-cut favorite to win the Big 12 this year. Texas Tech is in the conversation 100% for that. Yeah, Utah's got some dudes back. There's 100%. Utah should be much better. If I was picking who's going to win the conference, I would say Utah. And there's some good value there at plus 550 on Utah, just behind Kansas State. I like Kansas State, but K-State's got some tough games. Kansas State is, well, and they play at K-State. Texas Tech plays at Kansas State, which is probably where the numbers are. We'll do K-State tomorrow, but they play overseas. Like we already talked about Iowa State. We'll talk about Kansas State. They play in Ireland. Their opener, Farmageddon, is in Ireland. Then they play North Dakota at home, which is not an easy game. It's kind of crazy to say that, but it's true. Then they play Army, a resurgent Army team. Then at Arizona to start Big 12 play. Road games at Arizona, at Baylor, at Kansas, Oklahoma State, and at Utah. Tough schedule for Kansas State. And then home games against Central Florida, TCU, Texas Tech, and Colorado. So I don't really agree with K-State being the team, being the number one team, but Avery Johnson being back has got everyone's attention. They think this kid's going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. In fact, the Heisman odds for Avery, let's see. Well, wow. I thought they'd be better than what they are. I thought he'd get more love. Wow. Avery Johnson all the way down 50-1 to win the Heisman Trophy. I thought they'd be better than that. That's surprising. Odds on favorite, Arch Manning, no shock. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, no shock. Cade Klubnik at Clemson would be my pick at 9-1 there, and it goes up from there. Even Drew Aller at 14-1. There's a Hall of Famer. Texas Tech is minus 120 at DK for which game? ND9 Goldsmith, Go Irish. Which game we talking about for minus 120 for that? So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. CBW, thank you for this. We'll do news of the industry tomorrow with that poly market news, which is going to be that's going to be big for that. Poly market's going to be a big deal. CBW is posting that. Officially licensed in the U.S. after purchasing the small derivative exchange QCX. That was always the thought that poly market would come in and be a pretty big competitor to Kalshi. So we'll do that with news of the industry coming up tomorrow on the program. If you guys are watching live on YouTube, don't move. More to come on the other side. If you're watching on the replay or on Instagram or on listening on SiriusXM, thank you for being here. We are wrapping the replay, but for the rest of you guys, bonus time is going to start right now. Sorry, I couldn't find the stinger. I was looking around for the stinger. I don't know what's going on with my glasses today. My glasses, this hat doesn't like these glasses. It doesn't work, but I'm now officially old and I have to wear glasses. So, before I used to wear blue light glasses, but as of like 3 months ago, these are actually like real glasses. These actually are prescription glasses because my eyes, I'm 48. So I'm officially getting old. Unfortunately on that. Oh, so we can go longer than an hour live on Instagram. We're still live on Instagram. Oh, because we started late. That's why. Okay. I was going to say that should wrap up at some point here on that. Oh, season wins to go over. Yeah. It's 122. 122 at FanDuel, 120 at DraftKings. Sure. Yeah. I like over 8.5 wins. I think Texas Tech wins more than 8.5 games. I do. I think that they could have a really awesome opportunity for them. Sonic, you wanted the Samsung bouncing around behind me? Yeah. After an hour, the screensaver pops on the monitor behind me for all of this. I am looking forward. I'm here this week. I'm here next week, and then I'm off because we go to Scotland on August the 3rd. So no BVB for the second week of August, just to remind you guys. But we'll be back in Vegas. I do miss my old thing. It was fun. It was fun to see. It's fun to have my backdrop. So I miss my backdrop in Vegas for sure. So we'll get to that on August the 11th, the show, which, by the way, I'm going to be a mess. I'm going to be so jet lagged and all over the place. It's going to be wild. Favorite thing about today for me. So happened over the weekend. So Brooks, Amanda's son, went to this drama camp, theater camp, for 2 weeks. And he had a performance on Friday night that we all went to. So Amanda, myself, a couple of friends of the family all went. Amanda's father, Brooks's grandfather, all went to this show. And it was Willy Wonka, kids version of it. My daughter came. She's with me here in New Hampshire. And so my daughter hasn't acted for 2 years now. She hasn't been involved. She was a huge theater kid for a really long time, but then kind of got out of it and got into ice skating and playing the guitar and doing other things. She sat in the theater on Friday night and was absolutely transfixed by the performance. And she kept on saying, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And so we were able to get her signed up for the second session, which started today. So my favorite thing about today is I get to go pick up Madeline here. Once we're done, I'm going to go pick up Madeline from her first day at camp, at theater camp. It's a 2-week-long theater camp that also has a performance in 2 weeks. And she went to camp today so ecstatic and excited to go and get to act and be around other theater kids. And even though she lives in Vegas, to go meet a bunch of new kids, but I was super proud of her for going to a camp where she knows absolutely nobody, at a school down the street from Amanda's house that she's never stepped foot in, with counselors that she has no idea who they are or where they're from or whatnot, because she wanted to get back into being a part of the theater. So auditions is at the first day. The kids who have been practicing, she hasn't been practicing at all. She has to sing in front of people today, and she hasn't sung in front of anybody in like 2 years. So I'm super proud of Madeline today for going to the camp, and hopefully I'm crossing my fingers that she had an awesome day today and that it will only get better from here on out with her at this new camp. But that was a really cool, proud dad moment for her to kind of go and like, here we go. I want to have an opportunity to go. So favorite thing about today for me is to go pick up my kid to be a part of it. Yes, Vegas still has, it's called Broadway Kids, Sonic. It says David have Broadway theater style shows. Yeah. Oh, you mean like for adults? Oh, yeah. They do from time to time. Sure. It's not the same as like New York, but they do at times have plays that come through. But it's still, concerts are still very much part of the Vegas nightlife more than plays, because it's like Cirque and concerts. It's hard to contend to do like Guys and Dolls or Cats or whatnot to do a play. They do have a theater there. They do have a couple of really cool venues for classical music and plays that come through and whatnot. So they do have it, but just not as big. This is, Maddie likes to act. She's not in love with going to the theater yet, but she loves to act. So she gets a chance to do that today and for the next 2 weeks. So favorite thing about today is to go pick her up from camp and see how camp was. So I'll update you guys tomorrow on how the camp is going for her. She's there every day this week. Guys, thank you for being here. We appreciate all of you being a part of the program. This was a lot of fun to be here doing these shows. Again, if you could do me a favor, if you haven't done it or you joined us late, head over to X, Twitter, and tag Dave at SportsBKConsig. Write him a pick me up. Write him a, hey man, thinking of you. Hey man, can't wait to see you back on BVB. Can't wait to have you be a part of this again. And he's going through it right now. Okay. This is tough for him to have this happen, and he's struggling. So if you have a chance to do that today, I really would appreciate it. I know he'll appreciate it. His family would appreciate it. He can't respond. He's not going to respond right away. He doesn't have full access to his phone, but I know for a little bit each day, I think he is being able to look at his phone. So even if he doesn't see it today, he'll see it very soon. And I think it would be really cool for the brigade just to go out there and give him a shout out, because again, even if he doesn't see it today, his rehab is going to be lengthy. He's still in the hospital as we speak, and he could get out Wednesday, but maybe not. I don't know. But I've never spent 2.5 weeks in the hospital, and I can only imagine what he's dealing with at the moment. So at SportsBKConsig, go and write our guy a pick me up to say we're thinking about you, and we hope that you're back with us at some point very soon. Thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Back tomorrow, 1 o'clock for a Tuesday's episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.